as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. My lived experience tells me that it does still exist.
Pause. Maybe it's not because people are racist or misogynist. Maybe, just maybe, if we're going, this is all predicated on your behavior on air being who you are. Could be because you're a raging bitch. Maybe the best thing to come out of the Trump election is the real-time meltdown that we have seen of The View, which some people, some people still watch it. And Sonny Hostin is a person, and she started the show yesterday by throwing. Remember we talked about Mika and Joe?
Yeah.
How they met with Donald Trump, and how basically, of course, they have seen their ratings plummet, and they needed to kiss his ass. There's a lot of fake news out there, by the way, surrounding this, where some people have been circulating a fake Truth Social post from Donald Trump. He didn't write that, so I just want to be clear about that on the outset. But it doesn't change the fact that Sonny Hostin was furious that Joe Scarborough and Mika even considered providing two sides of the story.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now. And I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists.
Just like McDonald's.
We have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts.
Wrong.
He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists. He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question.
So he's the guy who ushered in the era of fake news. I just want to make sure that I understand that correctly. When you go all the way back, and we know that Brian Williams was lying, I mean, gosh, for how long until he was caught? Walter Cronkite said that you couldn't be a journalist, in his opinion, and not be a liberal. Do we want to look at the donations throughout history that come from ABC, NBC, CBS? You talk about not sitting down and kissing the ring of Donald Trump. Well, let me ask you this. Whose ring do you kiss? Hey, how does this occur in nature where you have an entire panel of cackling, walking hot flashes who share the opinion, aside from the kind of moderate Republican who also, by the way, just happens to share your opinion? Whose ring are you kissing? Do you employ everyone there? Are you signing the fronts of checks? Or are you signing the backs of checks? If you are signing the back of a check from a giant corporation, guess what? You are kissing the ring somehow. And certainly, it couldn't be more true than when you're dealing with legacy media. I just love how they do this. Like, sitting down. Okay. All you did was gang up and bully Donald Trump through every weapon you had available.
Yeah. And by the way, Donald Trump didn't invent fake news. He called it out.
Yes.
Right? And people, do you remember people like
Seth
Fox
Meyers
Live?
used the term fake news.
Yes.
People didn't realize it was something that started from the left.
The left started.
And Donald Trump.
Yeah, they did Fox Lies, too, during the Obama administration.
Right.
Remember, people would say, oh, Fox Lies, Fox Lies. They would just say that Fox is making up news. And Donald Trump was like, no, actually, this is fake. You're fake news because of this specific thing. Right. We saw it in this election. How can you not? What kind of a hole do you live in the ground where you don't understand that happened?
Well, she lives in the same hole in the ground where she gets to blame the victory of Donald Trump. Rather than learn from this and understand that maybe they are very out of touch in New York City, where everyone there is privileged. And it's not just privilege. I don't just mean that you're largely white. I don't just mean that you all are raised in Manhattan or, maybe two privileged, wealthy parents. I mean, people live a life that is so disconnected. You know what New York City is? It's the biggest city filled with rednecks in the country. You have people who grow up in New York City, and I mean this, they have no exposure to the rest of this country. They don't know how you live. You have a lot of people in New York City who have never driven a car, who think the world operates with public transport, default Democrat candidates, that everyone should, crime, major city pollution. They think that exists across the country. They don't know what it's like to live in, Texas, in suburban Michigan, to be able to walk out your house to your driveway, get in a car, and drive anywhere you want at your convenience. People say that New York City is so convenient. What they mean is they get to go out and party. Outside of that, if you have a family, it is decidedly inconvenient to live in New York. It's not the greatest city in the world. I think that it is an embarrassment for this nation, at least as it stands today. So let's go on with this very privileged ivory tower view as she blames white, uneducated people for Trump.
I know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. My lived experience tells me that it does still exist.
Pause. Maybe it's not because people are racist or misogynist. Maybe, just maybe, if we're going, this is all predicated on your behavior on air being who you are. Could be because you're a raging bitch.
I wonder how much of discrimination led to her being able to afford her Carmen Sandiego jacket.
Yes. I don't know how much racism one experiences to walk into the expensive designer store and say, "Give me the Liberace," but
with your private security,
you may not think that it exists. Well, hold on a second. This is why we did the change. Give me an example of systemic racism in this country, aside from affirmative action against white males,
people, and Asians,
and yeah.
Well, wait. Oh, so now we go to your lived experience. Oh, we're back in that realm of your truth. Hold on, let me guess. If I call you out, you're going to say that we're waging a false culture war, but we'll get to that. Let's continue.
Experience doesn't tell you that it exists. There's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for
Hold on, pause. It's
Kamala
not
Harris.
actually that clear because if you look at Hispanic Latino, it's 52-46 and Hispanic males voted for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So even in her own argument, it's not particularly clear. Like, hey, how do you explain that? What about their lived experience?
Oh,
it's just you. Again, see my previous point. Let's continue.
It's very clear. It's not only clear by race, but it's also clear by education. And so the notion somehow that is not true. This is by education. Those who attended college voted for her at a higher degree than those that didn't.
But I think you're missing his point.
Let me just finish. And so I've said that before,
Shut up,
and there was
silly
so
woman.
much backlash because I think it's an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about this country.
And this is what the left loves to do. They'll say that they hate labels while they hide behind labels. Now, I don't have a problem with labels. I don't have a problem with ism. For example, I'm a conservative. I subscribe to conservatism. That's my worldview. Okay? I'm very honest about it. They're communists. So, they then hide behind the labels that really hold no water, like, oh, educated. Can we disabuse people of this notion that a college degree means you're educated, means you're informed in 2024? Why use that metric and not use the metric? Because the reason that metric was used once upon a time was getting a college education when you were actually going and getting a generalized education with then extended education in your specialized field that you could make a better income, right? That's not the case today. The metrics that would matter would be if we're looking for people to live fruitful lives, to be contributing members of society. Let's take people who make an income, I don't know, of let's say 80 or 90,000 more per year. Let's take people who, have a decent savings, who don't have debt, who've maybe owned their house outright, who have successful families, who are active members of the community. Let's take other metrics. The idea that just a college degree means you are somehow more educated. I have never met more idiots, more functionally retarded people in my life than the college educated. And I mean this. I say this without a hint of hyperbole in the 21st century. Someone can have a college degree and they could have no savings, debt from said college degree because it's gender studies or, for example, media studies, which, by the way, I studied in college. I was that idiot. I studied media.
You got out.
I was a moron, right? Didn't make me any more educated. I left college dumber than when I went in.
I have a year and a half of credits just for being in the Army, just for existing in the Army.
There you go.
I didn't do. That doesn't make me any smarter. I wore a rucksack. Congratulations.
You mark that down as some college.
Educated.
Yeah, exactly. But there's two things here that she's saying. One, just say what you mean to say. Stupid people voted for Donald Trump and smart people voted for Kamala Harris.
That's what
she's trying to say to the American people, but she's just trying to, make it sound a little bit more palatable. And two, what that really shows is the longer you stay in, the more indoctrinated you become.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of this. It's not making the point that I think she's trying to make with this. It's a stupid metric on top of all of that.
Yes. It makes the point if you believe, college degree means that this person is clearly more informed. No one wants to run those numbers. No one wants to conduct those studies and see just how uninformed many of our college educated in this country truly are. I would actually wager, I would bet my bottom dollar that people who have gone to trade school and started moderately, I'm using a very conservative approach here, moderately successful businesses would be significantly more educated, informed than those attending higher education right now. And I bet you would actually probably have higher IQs. right now, at this point in time in history, because it's a smarter path. It's a better path if you want to live a better life. Hey, if you like this video, you're still here, click there. Click there to watch more rebuttals, takedowns, and claim and truth videos where they're pretty self-explanatory in the title. I don't know what the thumbnail is. It's not salacious, is it? Maybe a little. That's ideal.